So my followers on IG have been saying, Kalilah, what happened to What's on My Mind? Because I usually video it and post it on IG. And I haven't been doing that for about 2 weeks now. And they're like, we want back What's on My Mind.
They want that content. Yes,
so I'm bowing to public pressure this morning, like some other people we know. And I'm recording it, so it will be up later on today, hopefully around 9 o'clock. Well, let me not give a commitment on time, but sometime today, today's video will be up, and I'll keep doing them, yeah? So speaking of bowing to public pressure, right? That's the topic of What's on My Mind this morning because of the whole, situation that unfolded over the past 2 days regarding this ATI request and the Andrew Holness administration's response, or I should say attempted response to that request. So there are a couple takeaways for me from how the situation unfolded, how it started, the response to it, and then the subsequent response to it. Yeah. So all, of course, listeners, by now you'll be aware to what we're talking about. It was the government's attempt to extend the time before us in the public can access cabinet documents. So currently there is a 20-year exemption. So things that cabinet is discussing now in 2019, we cannot access those documents until 2039 if we request it. Yeah, it's not just going to be published automatically in 2039. We'd have to request it. So the administration wanted to increase that from 20 years to 70 years. An entire lifetime. What's the life expectancy in Jamaica? Is it more than 70 years? Yeah, well, almost an entire lifetime for the average person. And of course, there was the subsequent withdrawal of that proposal under public pressure and the now commitment to release the requested information. So not only has it resulted in them withdrawing the proposal to increase that time to 70 years, now they're just saying, here's the information, take it. Since it's caused so much trouble for us, let's not make it cause us any more trouble. We're just going to release the information.
Which is a pragmatic thing to do.
So it is a victory for the public on several fronts. One, it shows the power of public pressure. Two, it's a victory for accountability. And three, it's a victory for transparency. So let's look at the power of public pressure first. So we do have a say in key government and governance decisions.
Absolutely.
Many times members of the public feel excluded from these types of decisions. They're like, oh, those people up at Gordon House, they make their decisions. They do whatever they want. They're the ones running the country. We have no say, except on election day. Election day being the one time we do have a say. And with voter turnout often very low, many people just give up that right to have a say on election day as well. So you have no say ever. Not on election day,
not during the process of
governance, not throughout the year, just ever. And so many people feel helpless, like your voice doesn't count. But what this situation and the result has shown is that our voice is indeed very, very powerful.
Yes.
Whether it's via the traditional media, like me sitting here behind this microphone, Cliff Hughes taking your phone calls on Cliff Hughes Online, or whether it's via social media, because the response was very great on social media. It was swift and it was fierce on social media. Whether it's on the street, whether it's you talking to your friend, to your taxi man, you're at the hairdresser, you're in the barber shop, you're having these conversations among each other, and the word is getting out. So wherever and whenever you choose to make your voice heard, the point is that you need to make your voice heard on important public matters. Don't just keep it to yourself and complain but not take any action, or at least not speak up.
Kalilah, this government is very aware of the importance of public opinion. They have courted it from the last general election, and I'm sure they will want to court it again in the next general election. We have seen all over the world of how public opinion or support or lack thereof for government policy can cause a government to come out of office. Whether it is in the U.S. where people did not like a war, and the president had to leave office. So the public opinion, they know. And again, I say, this is a JLP administration that uses data. They know that it matters.
They follow the trends,
Of
and they're
course
very
they do.
engaged with
Yes.
social media too. So like I was saying, speak up or forever hold your peace. You cannot be quiet on important issues and then complain about it later when when you're feeling the effects of the decision. The time to speak is when the decision is about to be taken. And that's why these things have to come to Parliament. And I'm proud of the Jamaican people, very proud of the response for taking a stance and speaking out at the appropriate time rather than when it was too late. So first of all, it meant that they were paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah, because many times these things catch us and you find out after the fact. But people were paying attention and they spoke out at the appropriate time. It's a victory for accountability as well, which is partly the point you were just making, Kamisha. It shows that the government can't just do what it wants when it wants and act with impunity. It's a reminder to the Andrew Holness administration that they are ultimately accountable to the people of this country.
Yes.
And I say reminder because I'm sure they know.
Yes.
Politicians know this, that they are accountable to the people of this country. But from time to time, you need a little refresher. You need a little reminder. You need the people to demonstrate that, yo, we are here, you know. We're watching you. We're paying attention. We're concerned. We're involved. Don't do things that we don't want you to do.
Yeah.
And that's why this move had to be tabled in Parliament in the first place. Parliament, especially the House of Representatives, being the vehicle through which political representation is largely achieved.
Right.
Of course, you have your politicians are in the constituencies, you go to their offices and various things. But when it comes to legislation, Parliament is the place where that is accomplished. And of course, it's a victory for transparency.
Yay.
Because all of this came out of an ATI request.
Yes.
Access to information. And this was clearly an attempt to not be transparent. Yeah. But now they've taken this decision that they're going to release the information. And so this is and they're not going to extend the period from 20 to 70 years. So that's a victory for transparency, that we in the public, while I won't say that we're going to get more information as a result, we're not going to be getting less. Yeah?
Exactly. And we have the opportunity to access, at least try to access.
At least try. That's a good point. So the other takeaway from this is that it's a big lesson for the Holness administration as well, a learning experience, one of which being be careful not to overreach or to give an unnecessarily drastic response in your reaction to certain things, which I think was the case in this situation, because it baffles me how they came up with this response to increase to 70 years the time before cabinet documents can be released to the public, how they thought that was the appropriate response for this particular request. And I do get the political sensitivity of the information requested. It was, they wanted, reporter Dion Jackson Miller, kudos to her, requested cabinet minutes from 1975 to 1976, which you all know was a very tumultuous period in Jamaica's history. There was a state of emergency. So you can immediately start making the connections. We are going through several states of public emergency now. The current government has been using them in their assault against crime. So quite possibly, the reporter is doing some type of historical examination on the use of states of public emergency and what the thinking of lawmakers would have been when they made that decision to declare one in the 70s. And you can see how and why that would be relevant today. So like I said, kudos to Dion for doing that kind of work. If indeed that was the intention behind the request, because I haven't spoken to her to find out, why she wanted this information. It's just me putting two and two together. But to return to my point, it baffles me how the administration came up with this particular response to that particular request. It just seemed like a gross overreaction and overreach, because like I was saying to you yesterday, Kamisha, they could have simply just denied the request like they do all the time, citing national security reasons or whatever it is that they often cite. There are several provisions in the ATI Act that make certain information exempt.
Right.
Unfortunately for people in my profession who, often find it very frustrating. So to jump from that typical response all the way to a 70-year exemption just seemed completely unnecessary. It's an unnecessary reaction to the request. But I'm glad that good sense has prevailed, prompted by public pressure, of course, and they're actually releasing the information. It's a victory for the public on many fronts. That's what's on my mind.